Welcome back here on the Senior Network. We're now joined by Brian Tracy, owner, attorney, estate planning center, correct? Elder
Yes.
Law and Estate Planning Center is the correct name.
That's the correct
There
name.
you go. Thank you for joining us today, Brian.
You're welcome.
It's always good to have you. Got great topics. I think we left off the last show. I remember we were getting deep into talking about a little bit about out-of-state documents.
Out-of-state documents.
I thought it'd be nice to come back and kind of finish that conversation if we could.
Right. I bring it up because it is one of the most common questions that we receive in our office because most folks in Beaufort County are from someplace else.
Right.
They've moved here from
That's
someplace
right.
else.
Yeah.
So when they come from someplace else, they bring their furniture and their pets and their documents. And when they bring their documents, we also learn that many people that are not knowledgeable about it, but they will say, you need new documents because now you're in South Carolina and we do things differently here and therefore you must have new documents, estate planning documents.
Sure.
Your will, your power of attorney, your trust, and those kinds of things. When it's not necessarily true. If you have documents from another state, they're usually, typically, valid here in South Carolina. And you don't need to make any changes to them. But I don't say that as a blanket rule for anybody listening that now feels comfortable. They have their documents from out of state. Couldn't anything possibly be wrong with them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what you should do, though, is bring your documents to an estate planning attorney in South Carolina just to check them out. Because there are some things in South Carolina that are different from other states that you may want to change your documents. I'll give you an example. A financial power of attorney is a very commonly used document, and it's one of the most important documents. We spend a lot of time in our office convincing clients of the soundness to have a financial power of attorney. And we go through what it means and how it works and everything. So those who already have it have already been convinced. So they have the document in their possession. But if it's from another state, sometimes the requirements for the validity are, the different number of signatures. In South Carolina, we need 2 witness signatures for the power of attorney for it to be recorded. The law says for a power of attorney to be used, it must be recorded at the local courthouse.
Okay.
If you are from another state and you only have 1 witness in your document from another state, it's difficult, if not impossible, to have that document recorded now in South Carolina. So it may appear valid, have all the good language in there and cover everything, but if it doesn't have 2 witnesses, it's very difficult to have recorded, and then you can't use it at the bank. So there's an example of having your documents checked by an estate planning attorney. We do it in the office. We do it for a very reasonable fee, nominal fee. For a single individual, it's different, and then for a married couple, it's a little bit more for the document review. But most clients find it worthwhile. And if we do end up preparing documents for the clients, we don't charge them for that review. But it's certainly a worthwhile expenditure to make sure that your documents from another state that you bring here to South Carolina can still be used, because what you really want is documents that you can rely on, and that's what our goal is. Our goal is to be able to review your documents and say you can, and your family can, rely on these documents in the future. And we will say we don't think you need to have them changed. Or maybe you have a set of documents, one of them should be changed and the other 2 are okay as well. But it's a very common question, and it's very difficult to answer that question because we get phone calls and they want to know, Mr. Tracy, is my document from Ohio? Is my will from Ohio? Okay. And I can't answer it over the phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very simple question. It should be very
right,
basic.
you would think.
But it's very difficult to answer on the telephone to say that. I say, I need to look at it. It depends. The typical attorney answer to a simple question like that, it depends. And I will be glad to take a look at it for a nominal fee. If you have any other documents, I don't charge per document. Make an appointment, come on in, and we'll take a look at them. And that's the better course to do, because we tell clients that come in and we prepare documents for them. Very common question is, well, if I pick up and move to Arizona next year, do I have to get a whole new set of documents? And we give them the same answer. No, these documents are prepared with the idea that you can take your documents to Arizona or California or wherever you want to move, and you won't have to have them made again. But if you do move, I would suggest you bring them to an estate planning attorney in that state just to have them checked out, just to make sure that they're going to be documents that you can rely on in the future. It would be the same advice, just a little bit in reverse.
And these are all documents that we require, not the will, but the others that we require from our folks that are moving into the Cypress. So we have all that information
Right, the healthcare
to
power of
turn
attorney
to, yes.
and the living will. And it's interesting because sometimes, when people come from other states, healthcare providers and facilities such as the Cypress are required to sometimes provide those documents if you don't have them.
Right.
So for instance, if you go into a hospital and you're from
Right,
Massachusetts, you go
right.
into the hospital provides a living will document for you. And then we ask people, do you have a living will? Well, I had an operation 10 years ago up in Massachusetts, and I know that they gave me a living will, and I signed it and I returned it. So, yeah, I got a living will.
Right.
As if there's this central depository of all
Right.
the living will documents,
You
so
know.
that if we need it here in South Carolina, we just got to make a phone call or do a little search on Google
Right.
and we'll find it. It's not the case. So just because you may have signed a living will before, in another state, another location, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a viable, usable document like that. So you should make sure you're going to have a healthcare power of attorney and living will prepared. It should be something you keep in your possession and just make multiple copies.
What's the durable power of attorney? Is that the same thing as a healthcare power of attorney?
No, in South Carolina, we use two different powers of attorney. The durable power of attorney is usually for finances. So this gives
Okay.
someone access to your bank account to be able to pay bills,
Okay.
to call Hargrave. You can't call them to change the account
Right.
and change the service. You want to add HBO. And if you can't do it, someone else can. So that's
Okay.
a financial power of attorney. Healthcare power of attorney, well, guess what that is for? Healthcare,
It's for
right?
healthcare,
It
yeah.
makes healthcare decisions.
Right.
Great information, as always. I love listening to you. But that's all the time we have
I'm
today.
sorry.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry. I
awesome
took up
information. Thank you so much, Nona. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Brian, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you all joining us. And if you would take a moment and email us any comments, questions you may have for the show. And again, thank you for joining us here on the Senior Network, where senior care experts come together. We'll see you the next time.